Hola, clase. Senor Boyle here. I got a couple of things for you today. One of them is this. How about you would do it the old school way, which if we were in class, I would put this up and you can tell me one of two things. Um, and of course, I can't hear you, but try your best to remember this without looking at any notes. Okay, if you see a pronoun like ella, I want you to tell me what the ending is in the irregular preterite that we've been working on. Okay. Give you a hint. There are no accent marks for any endings. I gave a question last time in the last lesson on the exit ticket. It said, true or false. You have to memorize these tricky accent marks in irregular preterite. A lot of people wrote true. The answer is false. There are no accent marks for irregular preterite ever, not on any form. So that makes things a little easier, right? Okay, so if you see a pronoun in this slideshow, I want you to say what the ending is. Pronounce it in Spanish. If you see a stem, this is all irregular preterite, right? If you see a stem, I need you to say what the irregular stem is. All right, so ella, the irregular ending is oh. Okay. Andar. What is the irregular stem? Anduv. Hacer. Remember the question, what did you do? Isn't that preterite? What did you do? Que hiciste? So it's is. Estar. What's the stem? Estuve. Ustedes. All right, what is the ending for ustedes? Irregular preterite. Oops. Hieron. Now remember, some of the verbs that we worked with recently, creer, leer, have different spellings for this. And then there were a set of verbs that ended with usir, and we said eron. And then there was decir and traer. Decir and traer ended with eron. We're not talking about those. We're talking about this special set of irregular preterite. They all share these endings. So it's hieron. So hicieron would be they did. All right, let's keep going. Oopsie. I pushed the button too early. All right, so the ending for ellos is hieron. All right, anyway, we just saw that anyway, so it doesn't matter. What's the ending for el? Ah, yes. Oh, usted. What's the ending for usted? Yeah, we just saw that. Oh, venir. Stem for venir. Vin. Stem for poder. Pud. Stem for saber. I'll give you a hint. Everyone wants to say sup, but really it's soup. Ending for stem for poner. Pus. That's the one that immature people can't handle. Stem for querer. Quis. Ending for nosotros. Amos. Oh, wait, imos. So, ¿qué hicimos? What did we do? Ellas. Ending for ellas. Hieron. Haber, stem. Ub. We're going to talk about us, haber today. Tu. What's the ending for tu? Iste. Tener, stem. Tuv. Ending for vosotros. Istes. Last one. Ending for yo. Eh. Okay, hey, let's switch over to something else. And what we're going to do is just quickly run through these. Remember, none of these have accent marks. And remember that this set is irregular stems, irregular endings. All right, so grab your notes, hit pause if you have to. I'm just going to review this with you really quick, and then we'll give you a little bit of new information, give you some homework to do. It'll take us a couple of days to do that. So, all right, so we just saw these. Andar would be to go, to be, all these. All right, we know what these mean. We don't have to review those again. Let's talk about the stems. Andar would be anduv, estar estuv, tener tuv, haber ub, poder pud, poner, pus, saber sup, hacer is, querer quis, venir vin. All right, so we're going to add that. We're going to put that stem up, and then we're going to use this set of shared endings. And we just went over those endings as well in the slideshow. They all use the same endings. And you'll notice, remember that we have AR, ER verbs, and IR verbs together in this list, but it doesn't matter. We're going to still use the same endings for all of these, okay? And what are those endings? We have iste, o, imos, istes, ieron. So these endings will apply to all of these irregular verbs. It'll go on to the end of these irregular endings. No accent marks. Okay, so I think we understand what we're doing here with this. Okay, let's do this. Let's not do this because you already did this. We know how to conjugate verbs. Tell you what, let's take it one more step. Let's talk about haber for a second because haber is a little tricky. I want you to think of haber as two different uses. And I don't expect you to really remember this and use this, but the next slide I want you to use and remember. So, but just so you know that the verb haber means to have. And so it means to have as a helper in this way: to have eaten. So I have eaten, you have slept, she has seen. That is the same kind of construction that we have in English. This verb have is this verb haber. Okay. Now, this is something we'll teach you. I was hoping to teach it this year, but we got zapped with a plague. So definitely we'll teach you this next year. Now, I want you to just forget what I just told you. Okay. Because there are two uses for haber. That's one of them, the one we just showed you. This is the one that I really want you to understand for Spanish 3. Now, this is weird. Okay. This is one of these weird language things when you walk away going, why and how is that possible? And why is that like that? I don't have an answer for you, except you kind of memorize it. So what we're saying here is this: the verb haber, it means to have, but it's also where the verb I comes from. In the present tense, we would say I, Hay, to mean there is or there are. In the preterite, we would say there was or there were. So we know how to say there is, there are. We say I. But how do you say there was or there were? Here's how you do it. I just showed it to you, but I'm going to show it to you on a chart. So we have I and we have ubo. Okay, so I want you to think of it this way. When you want to say there is or there are, there's only one place on this chart that makes any sense at all, and that's right here. I is third person singular, present tense of the verb haber. What does this mean? This means there is or there are. Okay, we just memorized that. We know that to be a fact. We just put the word I in when we want to say that. We're all done. If we want to make it preterite, we are going to use third person singular. And we know how to conjugate haber because we know what the irregular stem is. The irregular stem of haber is ub. And in the third person singular, the ending is o. So this is where we get ubo. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, how does that apply here and here and here? And the answer is that it does not. You would never use any of these other areas in the conjugation chart when you want to say either there is or there was, there are or there were. All you say for there is I, and all you say for there was or there were is ubo. Memorize that, and you're all set. Okay, now, next part. In your notes, we're going to talk about special meaning in the preterite of these words. This is going to take us a couple lessons because this is a little bit tricky, but take good notes and you'll be all set. All right, so let's talk about first what these mean in the infinitive. Poder is to be able, right? We all know that. In the present tense. So if I say yo puedo, it means I am able. And it means what you think it means and it makes sense. What about no poder? What does that mean in the present tense? It means what you think it means. It means to not be able or I can't. How about the verb querer? What does the verb querer mean if I use it in the present tense? It means I want, right? How about no querer? In the present tense, no querer is I don't want, okay, or to not want something. Estar in the present means to be, right? So to be located, to be feeling, to be hot or cold, those kinds of things. And no estar is to not be located, to not be feeling, to not be hot or cold, those kinds of things. Saber in the present means to know. This is information and facts. No saber is to not know. Makes sense so far, right? We're not tricking anybody. We're telling you what these mean. Conocer is the verb to know people, places, or things. And tener is to have. And preferir is to prefer. Okay, all of those things make sense and we all understand what they mean. But when you put these in the preterite, it changes the meaning somewhat. Because remember, preterite is a completed action. And so what these words mean, the implications to what they mean in the preterite are different than what you might think that they mean. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you a special meaning, and then we're going to write some sentences. Okay, so this is the part that's tricky that you really need to pay attention to. Obviously, you're paying attention because you're watching a video. In the preterite, no poder does not mean I could. It means something else. Think for a second what it could mean. Remember that preterite is a completed action. It's something that happened. And the idea that I was able is not really a completed action. What does it really mean? Well, it means that I managed to. So it's kind of like saying this. If a teacher says, were you able to do the homework? What do they really want to know? Do they want to know if you were able or if you actually did the homework? Well, if they want to know, were you able and did you actually do it? So you could answer that question. Yes, I was able to do the homework, but I chose not to. Meaning your arms weren't broken, you had the knowledge, but you didn't put your pen to paper. But really, if you say yo pude in the preterite, it means that you tried and succeeded. Okay, think of the homework example as that example. Same thing with no poder. It doesn't mean I couldn't. What do you think it means? Hey, were you able to do the homework? No, I wasn't able to do the homework. That doesn't mean that your arms were broken and you couldn't pick up a piece of paper and a pencil because you couldn't. It means that you tried and failed to. There was an attempt, but there was no success. Okay. It wasn't that you weren't able, it's that you tried and failed. Okay, because this is an event that took place in the past. All right, how about to want? If you put it in the preterite, it doesn't really mean you wanted. It does, but it doesn't. It means that you meant to. Um, it's kind of like saying, um, "Hey, did you see a movie last night? I meant to see a movie, but I didn't have time." It's kind of like the desire without the action. Um, if you think of that as an event, a desire for a specific action in time, use preterite of querer. Yo quise. All right, so yo quise ir al cine. I meant to go to the movies, but I didn't do it. Okay. No quise. Hmm. What do you think no quise means? Oh, I didn't mean to? No, it doesn't mean you didn't mean to. It means, all right, think of this one. You're feeding a baby food. The baby goes like this. Does the baby want to eat? No. So let's say you're babysitting and the baby's like, "Bleh." Mother comes home. How did it go? Baby didn't want to eat. But really, the action of the baby not wanting to eat is the preterite. So what are we saying here when the baby, not just the baby didn't want to eat, but the baby's action was the baby refused to eat. All right, it's a combination of desire and action both together. Because remember, preterite is a completed action. And when we make these preterite, they mean something a little different. All right, a star is tricky. It's really tricky. So I'm just going to say that it's that you arrived or showed up. It's kind of like this. Hey, where were you last night? I was at the movies. I the action that I'm referring to when I say I was at the movies was that I showed up at the movies. That's the action that took place. I arrived there. I went there. So if I say to you, where were you last night? And you said, estuve en el cine. Really what you're saying is I showed up there. I went there. Okay. No estar. It means that you weren't present. Okay. I was not there. Now, this one makes a little bit more sense. Saber, to know. Well, it doesn't, if you put it in the preterite, it doesn't mean that you knew something. Think of it as an action that happens in your mind with knowledge. Knowledge comes to your mind and you found out something or you learned something. You realized something. You could use supe. I found out his name. His name is Bob. It's not that I knew his name, it's that I found it out. So the action is finding out. How about no saber? It means I didn't think to do something. It didn't dawn on me to do such and such. Oh, I didn't know to buy milk when I went to the store. Um, I didn't think to buy milk at the store. She told me to go to the store and buy milk, and no supe comprar leche. Okay, these are a little bit tricky, right? All right, so conocer, this one is the one that makes the most sense and the one that we all understand immediately. Conocer is to know people, but it's not that I knew him, it's that I met this person. It's an event, right? It's an action that took place. Shook his hand. I know him now. And at that moment in time, I met him, got to know him. Tener is to have. Doesn't mean I had in the past. It means I received or I got something. So, hey, um, what, did you get your grades? Yeah, I got my grades. I got a 90. Okay, I got a 90 means I received a 90. It's not that I had a 90, it's that I got a 90. Okay. And to prefer, it's not that we preferred something. So, hey, did you go to the movies last night? Yeah. Well, what did you see? We preferred to see X-Men 3 or whatever. In other words, we decided to. If you have a desire in the past and you choose to do that thing, that means that you decided to do it. So think of preferred as decided to. Okay, those are tricky. Whoa, look at this. We have 15 questions. Here's what I want you to do. There are 15 questions, not really questions, but statements. For tomorrow, no, let's see, today's Monday. For Wednesday, can you do 1 through 7? Okay, 1 through 7. And then we'll go over them on Wednesday. And then on Wednesday, I will assign 8 through 15. How does that sound? So let's do, no, you know what? Yeah, let's do it like that. Let's do 1 through 7. Let's do the first one together. The caravan went 50 miles that day. Well, what verb do you think we're going to use for went? It's the verb to go. So we're going to say the verb to go in the past. Now, as you can see, we have a whole bunch of different verbs in this list of 15 statements that go back as far as some of the irregulars and those kinds of things. I think, let's see, showed up. This is a star. We went there. It's not that we were there, but we showed up there. So use the verb as star. Number 3, use the verb there is or there are, but it's past tense. There was. Okay. You may have to look up a couple of words. I don't think we've talked about intersections. You can use wordreference.com and make sure you have the right words. To set the table, this is poner. I didn't come to the party. This is the verb to come. Venir. It's irregular. Okay, so number 1, la. I can't write on here. Sorry. La caravana. Just add an A here. Fue 50. This is so easy. Millas is Millas. Millas. That day would be ese, ese, dia. All right, so that's number 1. You got that? Hey, tell you what, thanks so much for listening today, and I will talk to you soon. Okay? Peace out.